Alright, we're going to try hardest difficulty, Kyalami, 36 laps, in our Lambo, which this Lambo isn't tuned quite right. I don't really love the way it handles, but we'll give it a try. Man, I am at the back of the pack. But not for long. This car's fast. Holy smokes. It's like uber fast. Oh, I'm getting smashed. That's okay. I hate not having the backup camera though, or the rear view camera. There we go. Okay, man, I did not expect to get in first place in the first corner. And I don't know this track super well. I raced it a decent amount once upon a time, but I've never gotten really good at it. There's parts of it I like, and then there's parts of it I'm just not that great at. Also, I've never driven a single lap around this track in the cabin view. It's always been wide external view. So there's that. I didn't think about that before I fired it up, but man, this car is zippy. Whoa. Yeah, whoops. Really gave it away there. This corner always gives me trouble. And in real races, they seem to always run wide. Like really, really wide. 6.4. 96.3. So we did 3.7% in one lap. Whoops, wrong button. Wow, this car is so fast compared to whatever is out here against me. One thing I wish they would allow us to do is to build and save our own competitor list. Like 100% all 23 other cars, however you want to build it. That would be pretty cool. And like I would use it to build the most realistic races I could, I think, and make them, you know, you could kind of tweak the competitiveness of your opponents. It'd be a little bit difficult as you, wow, that's bright. I am not gonna risk that. As you like started messing with like tunes and stuff and like builds, you know, it'd kind of stink to have to go through and like custom upgrade every single car, but like maybe you could say I would like this car and I would like it auto upgraded to be between this PI and this PI or something like that. And you could, it would take you a while, but you could set them up and save them like a template for your competitive list, and that'd be pretty cool. You could build a number of different like just fun races where you're like bouncing off of Volkswagen Beetles or something, and then you could make super competitive ones, and you could even build a like a technically it'd be multi-class racing, but since I can't figure out a way to set up with prototypes in front and then GT cars behind if I want to drive a GT car. Like, that would at least allow me to set up a competitor list with like 12 prototypes at the front of the pack, and then me at the back, or you know, in a GT car in the second half of the order. That's better. A little better. Whoops. That worked out pretty well, but I got on the throttle at a point when I didn't really mean to. This corner is an interesting one. Like I said, I'm not very good at it, but like, you can gain a lot of ground if you take that corner well. You've got such a long straight out here in front of you that like, if you can get a good exit out of that and just conserve as much speed as possible and then exit well, you're just going to be flying. Got on the curb there. I turned in way too late there. I should, at the end of this lap, I should have somewhere in the neighborhood of 81.5% fuel left. And I wish the fuel on the dash of these cars would be, like, I thought it was laps at first, and I think maybe that's what it's supposed to be. Like, I don't know what that fuel level is. 26.5, like, at least in the other cars that I've tested, it doesn't really equate to laps. And it's certainly not percentage. So there's really no way for me to correlate what I'm seeing on the dash with how much fuel I have left. Oh, huh, I'm using less than I thought. So 82.1, so we've gone through 17.9, so we'll just say 18. in 5 laps, so that's 36 in 10. I might be able to go the whole way. I don't like that. I want to have to pit stop. That's the whole point, is like to force everybody to pit stop. This is 36 laps. Well, 36. Oh, no. I'll have a short stop towards the end, which is fine. I like to go, well, one of these days I'm going to extend it. I just don't usually have the time to play more than an hour at a time, but one of these days I'd like to do like a 4-hour race. I'll probably do 2 hours at some point, and then we'll see how I feel about a 4-hour race. But it'd be kind of nice to start getting into like 2 pit stops. Although really there's no point if I can't like custom build my competitor list, because they're not fast enough to really make it a problem. Yep, I didn't cut in fast enough there, or early enough. I caught myself monologuing. So if I use 36% every 10 laps, it'd be 72 after 20, and then you don't have 36% left. So somewhere before lap 30, I'll have to pit, and I'm guessing it'll be around 25, 26, something like that. No, it'll probably be a little later than that. 72. You got 28% left, or yeah, 28 laps left. 29 technically, I think. Although my brain doesn't want to math right now. Because you're not done whenever you get on the final lap, you're done when you finish the final lap, so I think technically there's 19. Alright, I'm doing the math on the wrong thing. There's 28% left. I need 3.6 per lap, so 28 divided by 3.6. Which it varies a little bit, but oh man, he's having trouble turning in too. Might be catching these guys just right. Maybe. Would have helped if I'd have taken that corner a little better, so now I think I'm gonna have some troubles. I don't want to go 3 wide into this. Ooh, that worked out. They gave me just enough space there. I didn't handle that just right. I came in a little hot and a little shallow, so I botched it. I botched it. Uh, Honestly, at this point in this game, like the real challenge for me, and what I like about what I'm doing right now is going through lapped traffic or just trying to pass people. And I almost wish, like, I hate like fighting the stupid AI on the first lap, which is why I tend to just go around them. Um, there's, but I almost wish that it was just more realistic racing where it wasn't that easy to pass from the line to corner one, and then you had to fight your way through traffic, and like I just wish it was a little bit more difficult at times. And because I like trying to realistically and safely go through traffic. It's not something I used to do, but as I've gotten a little bit more used to the controls and the tracks and things like that, and especially in GT cars because they're my favorite. Oh man, that thing grips. Like, that's what I don't like about this car and the way I have it set up right now is it's fast, but it's still a little squirrely, and so like it switches between like understeering and oversteering pretty rapidly if you're not careful. But anyway, I like going through the slower traffic and lapped traffic just because it requires you to be patient, and I like trying to do it in realistic ways where I'm not smashing into them and bumping them out of the way, and I'm seeing how close I can get to them without messing up. Oh, I didn't realize he caught up. My bad, bro, but that's kind of on you because I'm the faster car and you knew I was there. And you knew I was going to tuck in and try to, like, get my spot. So I did kind of mess up back there. I still think it's on the slower traffic to realize that, oh, he's probably going to cut back over to the line because he can't pass before the corner safely, and he doesn't want to dive bomb him into the corner. And I think that's something that real race car drivers kind of, they usually understand that and are respectful of each other, and they know where they would put their car, so they know where the opponent's probably going to put theirs. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with, like, trying to make the pass, and then when you realize you can't, just kind of like backing out of it and getting over again onto the line. At some point, even if I didn't get onto the line, I was going to have to get in the way of that slower car that I had just passed. So if they didn't back off there and let me back on the line, they were going to have to slow down even more and wait for me to do a really super awkward apex and go slower and then get back on the throttle. Woo! Got back on the throttle a little too early there. I was thinking about it, so I did it. Anyway, yeah, I think that me slowing down and getting back over on the line is the most logical thing to do. So. Have fun in Helldivers too, Serenic. That's a game I kind of wish that I had friends playing. It looks really good. Oh, I grabbed that curb again. I'm not doing myself a lot of favors with the, jumping on the curbs and losing traction and getting the back end displaced. Oh, and I forgot I was going to check the fuel state after lap 10. I completely forgot, but it should be what was it, 36% for 10 in theory, so that would put us at 64%. and then another 3.6. So we should be at like 60.4, I think, when we cross the line this time. Or somewhere thereabouts. It'll probably be a little higher than that, actually. Yep, a whole percentage point higher. Okay, we're going to try this again, but we're going to duck over earlier. He better not smash into me. Good job, guy. I actually had that, but I just knew he was going to dive over and smack me, so I backed out of it. In real life, I don't think you'd back out of that, but I just knew the AI was going to be dumb. I think we may be ahead of the entire touring car pack now. The one that's up ahead of me on track right now, I think, is the one that I already lapped. Because it was, there's always one that the game chooses to be really slow and to like fly off the track all the time. It seems like every race I do, there's one car that they've just like put some kind of a like below amateur driver in. And so like they're always running off the track. Or maybe it's just that the AI is still kind of terrible, and except the other cars don't do it. So like there's certain corners that some AI seem to struggle with, but yeah, they don't all struggle with it. So I don't know. Ooh, that was definitely all me. I steered pretty hard and hit the brakes hard at the same time. And the back end got loose, as one might expect. So I went to a car show today. It's a small local car show. Not a lot of stuff there. I live in a town of about 3,000 people, so it's kind of impressive that we have as big of a car show as we have. There's some folks that come from a lot of different areas. My neighbor actually had a car in there. He's got a, I can't remember what year it is, but it's a pretty nice old Nova that is kind of cool. And he was there, and there was a 2020 Corvette C8 there. And if I was reading everything correctly, it was actually for sale, and it had a twin turbo tucked up under the back end of it, which I'd never thought about it, but that makes sense. Your engine's back there, and the exhaust comes right out the bottom. So, so the twin, it looked cool. The twin turbos were like right under the back bumper, kind of where you'd put a splitter, I guess. And as far as I could tell, it was a 950 horsepower car. It had like 850 horsepower on the dyno, I think is what it said. And it could all be yours for less than $100,000. I thought about it. No, I'm just kidding. I think it'd be cool, but I have other priorities. And my wife would kill me if I did something like that. But there was also a really cool, I think it was a 1933 Buick. I'd have to go back through my pictures, but it was a sedan. very pretty, very clean. Not perfect, but just about as perfect as you could expect from something that's old, that is that old. It was a museum kept car actually, and I guess the museum needed to get rid of it, and this family bought it. So it was really cool. A lot of other cool cars there too, as one would expect at car shows. See, they run out like all over this whenever in real life. They get all the way up on that bumper. 4 wheels. Why is this guy going so slow? That's a GT car. Speed up, bro. Or pit. I don't know that is the last place touring car. I don't remember what it looked like. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I can't believe I didn't touch that car. I was so close to this Lambo. Oh, jeez. Why are they hitting their brakes like that? I think that might be the lapped car. That made my heart skip a beat back there, though. He kind of like hit his brakes and ducked over. And what are these guys doing? Like, the AI is so bad at passing. Nope. I'm gonna go a little bit wide. Probably gonna get stuck over here. I wasn't sure where that car behind me was, but whew. That's fun, though. That is so fun. Oh, I don't want to let him by. I better be careful. I drifted out and saw the curb coming. It's like, oh, this is gonna spin me 180 degrees. Okay, so true story. I used to drive, my first pickup, or my first vehicle, was a 1990 Chevrolet WT. It's a single cab long bed with, I think it had a 250 cubic inch V6, something like that. We put 3 engines in that motor in the time that I knew it. It had a 5-speed manual transmission. Super tight friction point and a sticky throttle cable. Like, that thing was literally the hardest stick shift I've ever driven in my life, and I've driven some 2-ton and 5-ton trucks before that were manual transmissions with splitters and stuff like that. So nothing really big, but big like flatbed trucks for like hauling lumber and hay and things like that. So anyway, this truck, I used to dump the clutch a lot. Golly, you don't have to slow down that much. That wasn't my fault. I think I don't know if he pushed me over into the wall or if I was just trying to avoid him so hard that I went into the wall. That might have been my fault on that last corner. Thank goodness the damage isn't full. But I used to dump the clutch all the time in that car, or that truck, and because it wasn't very powerful, and I tore the clutch up a lot. And one time I was driving with my little brother. He was still in high school and I was in college, and I went and picked him up and we went to lunch. And on my way back to school, it had been raining, and I went to go around this corner, and I really like to, like slide it around the corners. And that thing, without hesitation, spun 180 degrees and stopped in the road. I am so lucky that I didn't slide sideways and like slide into a tree, or there's a pipe fence on one side of the road and a big ditch on the other. I didn't slide off the road. I just sat where I was supposed to be, but I was facing the wrong direction. It was kind of embarrassing. It's not the most embarrassing thing I ever did in that truck, but because I did hydroplane into a parked car one time, trying to dump the clutch and slide around a corner when I shouldn't have been. So I think I've learned my lesson. Wasn't the best cutback in my life, but I'll take it. It'll work. That Ferrari's doing pretty good. It's hanging in there. I wonder what place it is. Something else that is not simulated at all in Forza, and it'd be kind of interesting if it was an option you could turn on. Although I would want them to test it a lot and try to make it as realistic as possible. But as the race progresses, if you get offline and you pick up marbles, lose traction, have longer brake zones if you're offline. Can't accelerate as easily without spinning out if you're offline, stuff like that. And then just losing a little bit of traction. Obviously if you're offline and on the marbles, you're going to have less traction, but even if you're over there temporarily, you'll pick up those marbles, and there should be some kind of a traction penalty, a light traction penalty perhaps. And I think that kind of wears off over time as you scrub the tires. But I don't know in real life like how quickly or slowly the traction kind of normalizes, or if at all. But it'd be interesting to have a pickup kind of function. 37. Something's off in my math, I think. Oh wait, no. That's I'm on lap 19. I've done more laps than I thought I had done. This car's sticking with me back there. I think I only caught up to him because he was going through traffic and it slowed him way down. In free air, he's staying fairly close to me. Kind of driving sucky now, though. I don't know, that's part of it, I'm sure. I think you burn a little less fuel as you go as well because you're lighter. I never really... I've considered that before and just assumed it wasn't modeled in the sim, but it should be, or the sim, modeled in the sim. This isn't really a sim. But it should be, just because the lap times do change based on how much fuel you have because of how much weight you have. So I think it's modeled to some degree. And I'm wondering now if that is a laps left of fuel, because I think I probably have roughly 10 laps left based on the way the fuel is going. And maybe it just doesn't seem like it correlates because it doesn't, because it changes as you lose fuel. As you burn off fuel, it changes a little bit in terms of how fast it's decaying. Oh, that's the police. I better be careful. He's taking up as much road as he can. Popo with them stupid wheels. Oh, I forgot to look again. So I did 20 laps on 70% of my fuel. Minus a little. Maybe 69% of my fuel in 20 laps. Which doesn't really equate. 69%. And if I remember right, I set this up for 36 laps. So I got 15 to go. Plus 1, so 16 to go. I got all of that curb. I could have ripped off an oil pan doing that. I guess they got floor plates or whatever to kind of protect them. Tires, they're getting there. I've taken tires up to like over 80% worn. Can't remember what track it was on. And in Forza 7 one time I didn't finish the race because I had a puncture, and like I wore a tire completely out, and I couldn't even get back around. Like it wasn't like in real life where you can limp it back and on a puncture and get a new tire. It was wild. Or maybe I did limp it back, but it took so long that I just lost the race, which that would be fair. But in this game, I think I took one up to 80% one time. Maybe 90 on the last lap that I had that I stayed out. It might have gotten up above 90%, so I was a little bit nervous that it got splashy, really splashy, and I got nervous that I wasn't going to make it back to the pits, but it did. it's evil that they had the run out on that corner and then they kink it back to the left, like right after the run out. So you got to swerve back to the left, even though you're trying to straighten it out and woo! Straighten it out and accelerate. I do like that, you know, like you get your back tires on the curb in the wrong way and it kicks it out. I like it. Keeps you on your toes. And it's fairly realistic, I think. So I was going to do another video about this, but and I actually already shot it because we just had our 1 year, like the 1 year anniversary update or whatever for Forza, and and like, you know what, I'm all about getting new stuff for the game, so I don't want to complain too hard. And Sunset Peninsula isn't a bad track. It's just not the track that I really kind of... I'd rather see real tracks. Bathurst, Fuji, Shanghai, Bahrain, Portimao, stuff like that. I'd rather see those. But as far as like the fictional tracks go, it's an OG track. It's a good track. It's not too difficult. It is fun. It's just kind of an uninspired track. It's not that cool of a track. It looks good in this game. It's also very laggy. So if you're on a really nice machine, you may not notice, but on my machine, I get a little lag here and there, but most of the time on the tracks, it's a little bit of lag early on, perhaps. There's like one particular corner on Spa that lags frequently, just barely. It's barely noticeable, and it'll kind of like freeze for just a split second every time I go around it. I'm kind of used to it, but Sunset lags around the entire track for the entire race. So there's that. The AI really doesn't seem to know how to path around it correctly, so there's a section with some pretty quick corners, and you might have to tap your brakes just barely depending on what kind of car you're in, but they're like full on hammering their brakes and almost stopping in the road every time they go around the track on multiple difficulty levels. So like, I just feel like the track isn't complete. I feel like it's just been pushed out because Turn 10 released an incomplete game, and a year later they're trying to get us to buy DLC. You know, and so like Sunset's not a bad track. I don't want to make it sound like I'm complaining about a free track. I say free, like more tracks should have been included from the get-go, but yeah, like it's okay. Don't want to complain too hard. But the new cars, as far as I can tell, there may be more new cars, but there's like 3 Mustangs that are, 2 of them are identical, and 1 of them's nearly identical. And then there's another Mustang that's just a 2024 Mustang. Okay. Not bad, but not great. I'm still a little bit upset about the fact that in the Forza GT division, there's 4 2020 cars in the Forza GT division. So you can't necessarily make the newest spec cars for your game because those need to be out. You need to be able to get data on them, unless you just want something that's not realistic at all and you just want to speculate. It kind of takes some time to build the new spec cars, so I'm not expecting 2024 cars in the GT division, or even the Proto H or Hypercar division. It's Proto H because they wanted to be able to put whatever they wanted in it. And I'm going to complain about that pretty hard here in a second. But in the GT division, like, I don't expect it to be like all super new cars, but there's 4 2020 cars. One of them is a KTM Expo GT2 that I don't really care about, and it's an Expo. You know, whatever. One of them's the Corvette, and if I remember correctly, the other 2 are DLC. Everything else is older. Now, some of the older cars, like the Bentley and the Aston Martin, the Porsches, and there's another one, the Ford GT, they're things that I don't really know that a newer spec would be that different. You know what I mean? So like, not that big of a deal. Even the BMW is not that big of a deal, but there's just not a ton of selection of cars that are like GT3 or GTE or LMGT3, GTDs, those kinds. Like those are all very, very similar spec, and there's just not a lot of cars that are competitive with each other in that realm. Like they're missing, they're definitely missing some cars that are pretty popular and pretty common. And of course, like if they didn't make a couple of the good ones DLCs, it would feel like there was more to it. But yeah, more importantly, the hypercars. Like when the game released, there was one and only one hypercar. Yeah, I'm passing you, bro. This is your second time to get lapped, so the only actual hypercar you could get when the game released was the Cadillac, and that was day one. But it's kind of looped in with a bunch of other prototypes if you try to race it, because there's nothing to race against. And here we are a year into the game, and there's still nothing to race against, except for a DPI that's, it's similar, but I don't really count that as a hypercar because it's not a hypercar. So the fact, and it's a Cadillac, it's very similar to the Cadillac that you already have. And then they released the number 5 Porsche, and I don't know why it's DLC. It's the second hypercar released for this game in an entire year. So there's 2 hypercars now that you can choose from. 2. And one of them is DLC. That's crazy to me. And you could put the number 6 in. It's the same as the number 5. So like, why? First of all, why do we not have like a livery editor? They want you to buy and level up multiple versions of the exact same car. They just have different paint jobs. Like that's ridiculous. First of all, so there really should just be one Cadillac hypercar and one Porsche hypercar, and then you pick the livery that you want when you buy it, and then you can change it later if you want. That's the way they should do that. But whatever. But like, where's the Lamborghini? Where's the BMW, the Alpine? There's tons of hypercars now. I mean, not tons, but there's all these other cars. They've been around for years. I mean, the Toyota, for Pete's sake. The Toyota's like, and even if you go to the prototypes, the P1s, like all of them are old. The Audis and the Porsche P1 cars haven't raced since I've started watching racing. Like they quit using those probably 1 or 2 years before I started watching racing. So I started watching in like 2019, heavily watching, and those cars were done. It was pretty much a Toyota at that point. And then there is a Ginetta, which the season that Ginetta raced, I don't even think that they finished the season. They were super fast, but they had brake problems and they kept DNFing. So anyway, there's just not a lot of choice in these, like, and I know that that's not all that Forza is about. Like, we've got all of these other cars and car divisions and car classes, and they're trying to just kind of be a one-stop shop. But there's just not enough variation in any given class for us to really have realistic and fun races. And they're adding things a little bit too slowly, and they're starting to add things that are DLC that should have been included with the game, or should at least be free updates, because we paid full price for a full game, and I honestly don't really think it's a full game yet. It's close, but I don't think it's full. So anyway, don't mind getting some free stuff, and I don't mind them having some DLC. There's certain cars that just kind of make sense to be DLC, and I don't mind them trying to make a little extra money at it, I guess. But Jiminy Christmas, like, why do we only have one non-DLC hypercar after a year? That's the big, like, red flag for, like, the fact that Turn 10 is kind of dropping the ball for their customers on some of this stuff. Whoops! They like to slow way down on that corner. I'm going to do one more lap. and I wasn't really thinking about the cutback, so I kind of botched that. But I like that car, that particular Porsche. I watched that one quite a bit. Oof, oof. You win, buddy, you win. Oh, wow. They do not care. Yeah. Yep. I did that on purpose. Every once in a while, I get a little angry and I do illegal stuff that you'd get black flagged for. Just because the AI is kind of stupid and they make me mad. Alright, now I need to start thinking about how many laps I got left. Should be 6 laps. Or 7? Yeah, 7. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Oh wait, 36. 36. I'm counting wrong. So seven laps, and we'll take soft tires. A lot of times I'll come blazing into the pits just for grins. We'll do 30%. Yeah, sometimes I'll come blazing into the pits because you can gain a lot of time against the AI that way. And the game will slow you down and take control once you get proper into the pits, but you'll be like definitely speeding in the pit lane. Oh, I didn't realize I was taking over. I did not want to come like flying out in front of somebody and smash into them. Alright, we're still in first place, so like that's how I know that this is too easy even on the hardest AI difficulty. So I'm gonna have to start like, I'm dreading it, but I'm gonna have to start playing with taking off the braking line. Like I have no idea where my braking points are on these tracks without the braking line, because it's been so long since I've raced any races without a braking line. Back in the early original Gran Turismo 1 and 2 days, I finished those games completely without any kind of like racing line assists at all. But those games were a little more gimmicky at times too. And what I mean by gimmicky is, oh man, this thing's so much stickier with soft tires. Basically I would just find the car combinations and upgrades that would allow me to be much faster than the other cars, and I was never able to corner well in Gran Turismo. It was like, on a lot of tracks, if it was a track with a wall, like the street race courses and stuff, you'd basically come flying up, hammer your brakes, cut the wheel as hard as you could, and slam into the wall and then accelerate, because there was no damage. So that's kind of, we made sure we had cars that were much faster on straightaways and accelerated harder than the opponent cars. There were some tracks where I think I got decent enough at racing and taking the corners, but I was just never a good cornerer in those games. Sun's starting to get on into the afternoon. I think I've got it on 12 times time scaling. I'd like to take a race from sunrise to sunset, but I think I might need a little bit more time than what I've got on this one. A few more laps would probably do it on this one. Ooh, terrible at that corner still. Ooh, that back end started coming around. Oversteering. This car again. Are they going to hammer their brakes on this next corner like they normally do? I wanted to pass there so badly. I'm glad I didn't though. I would have smashed into him. It's also fun in these games when you do finally get another car that's like competitive with yours, and you're like closing in the braking zones, but then they pull away on the next acceleration. You know, like it's just kind of cool whenever you accordion with another car in a realistic way, and then when you can like really battle and come up and like eventually pass them, that's really good. It's fun. It's a rush. It's kind of a rare thing in this game though, to do it in a realistic way, because most of the time like there's just corners that I can take way faster than them, and so I eventually just catch right up and then pass them not too long afterwards. But that also wasn't a great cutback, but we'll make it work.
3 more.
I had a feeling he was just going to duck right over on the line without looking over his shoulder or in his mirror. My corner. Don't touch me. Golly, stupid. Are you kidding me? You have got to be kidding me. That's the kind of crap that they need to fix. Like, the AI doing stuff like that is just bonkers to me. You're going to pretend like it's a realistic racing game, but then the AI will just slower traffic, different class, not even in your race. You'll pass them on the line, and then they'll come push you off the line to go through the corner because all they care about is being on the line. Red Bull gives you wings. I cannot believe Red Bull is successful. It's so gross. It's so gross. And their commercials are dumb. Like the stuff they do with airplanes and motorcycles and stunt people. Whoa! That guy was going to let me go around, but he cut back a little bit more than I expected. This guy's a jerk too. I remember you, bud. But yeah, some of the stuff that Red Bull does is really, really awesome. But man, like, I can't believe that they're successful. I don't know what else they got going on, or if it's just the energy drink, but holy smokes. That energy drink stuff is gross. Of course, I think all energy drinks are gross. I drink soda, but energy drinks are disgusting. I don't remember this Beamer. Did I pass him before?
Final lap. You got this.
Yeah, these are guys I've never lapped before. I don't think. Oh, the Porsche ran off the road, I guess. The Beamer's behind me. Ah. This is somewhat therapeutic. This is why I like the long races, and it's kind of weird because I don't want to sit here for too long doing them, but it's kind of therapeutic just because it doesn't take a ton of my focus. I can kind of, a lot of times I'm actually watching a movie while I play these, but it just kind of depends. But anyway, this has been a good race, a little bit easier than I expected it to be. This car is like apparently really fast compared to whatever the game decided to throw against me. Whoa! I did not slow down enough for that. Whoops! See, like the PIs are lower. That's why. Like, I don't know why they're not. It's doing a bad job of like matchmaking against AI. I think my Corvette is like 901 or 900 maybe, and it'll put me against like 930 cars if I let it. Oh, I'm level 500. I'm driver level 500. Da 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 da. Group text. Group text. What is group text? D-Light. I changed to that uniform because I'm a D-Light all the time. All the time. I'm just delightful. 89,000 for an hour. Whew.